So today I'm doing a scene with the water tentacle. I'm facing off with it. It's a big scene with heaps of visual effects, so let's go on set and see how it all works. Acting for visual effects that are created in a computer requires a lot of imagination. No! Leave him alone! We'll save him. What do you want from us?
With all the visual effects in the series, they all start with meetings, a lot of talking. Everybody sits around talking and we have a look at, we do some sketches, things called storyboards, which are, look like a comic book. And they just show us basic still images of how we're going to realise this great visual effect. It helps the actors because they know sort of what they're going to be looking at as well. It takes a lot of people. We've got a visual effects person who's there on set. The director of photography needs to be involved. It's the producers. Everybody gets a say in it so that when we go and film it, we know exactly what we're going to do because we have to be incredibly precise with visual effects to make sure that A, they look real, and B, that we don't get them wrong, because once we put them in, they're very expensive and they look fantastic, but we want to make sure they're absolutely perfect.
And action.
Before we can dive in, we need to create the most famous feature of a mermaid, the tail. The tails themselves are very detailed and beautiful, and they were made by a very, very talented crew, which I kind of have to say because they're behind me right now. Each tail is specially handcrafted. The professional sculptors first make a plaster cast of our legs and feet. The tail is then constructed out of waterproof materials, fit with a fin, painted and then scaled by hand. Each tail has over 5,000 plastic scales on it. Swimming in the tails is pretty incredible, but it's not as easy as it looks. It took a lot of training for us to get to this point. Because the tails weigh about 40 kilos when wet, we had to be very strong swimmers. We trained with a professional stunt trainer to strengthen our arms and legs and even learn breath hold techniques. And before we hopped into our tails, we got to try out this cool monofin to simulate our mermaid fin. Swimming with the tail for the first time for me was really nerve-wracking, but so exciting. The best thing about it was being able to travel so fast underwater. It's amazing. We do heaps of underwater filming, so we're in and out of the tails a lot. A lot.
Ooh, yes, that's nice. We love this.
When we're showing the tail.
For many of our underwater sequences, we film at SeaWorld, Australia.
So here we are at SeaWorld. This is where we do all of our water stuff. So any of the time we're doing kind of underwater stuff in the sea and all that type of stuff, we actually shoot it here. Today, I actually get to swim with dolphins all day, so it's a pretty rough day for me. I'm here with Cohen the dolphin. He's been keeping a ball off me and I've been trying to get it off him, so he's being a little bit cheeky. I'm having lots of fun. He's being really good to work with and I get to do photos, I get to pat him and I get to feed him, so I'm very excited.
Hi there, I'm Jeffrey Walker. I'm the director of H2O. One of the great things about filming H2O is all the underwater photography. Now, how do we do it? We take a big team, about 30 people. Lots of them are scuba divers. They're underwater with cameras in big housings. There's photographers underwater. There's safety people, stunt people, and our beautiful girls, of course, in mermaid tails.
The underwater filming can get cold, but it's so much fun. Colin Budds, another one of our directors, gives us instructions through an underwater loudspeaker, while we concentrate on swimming, acting, and holding our breath at the same time.
and just find the light. Beautiful, that's it.
Hi, I'm here to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the moon pool. Now, this is a pretty special place for us mermaids, especially when it's a full moon. Now, I know the moon pool looks great with the bubbles and the moonlight, and a new Series 3 element, a mysterious waterfall. But it actually takes a lot of hard work to make the moon pool look this magical. Torpedoing into the moon pool through an underwater cave is normal to us mermaids in the show, but in real life, it's a bit different. It's quite hard to move when you're stuck in layers of scales and silicone, so we have some help launching into the water. See? It's not all high-tech. To create the world of H2O, the show was filmed at locations which are hand-picked from all over the Gold Coast. From the waterways and beaches to the rainforests which make up Mako Island.
Now on H2O, we're lucky enough to shoot at heaps of amazing locations. However, these locations do come with some dangers. As you might see over here, we have a generator truck which has fallen off a crossing and is now in the stream. We've got trucks stuck on the other side, and I think they're bringing in a crane to get this out.
Now, believe it or not, the magic all happens behind this ordinary old roller door. And today we're going to meet designer Jason Baird, who is in the midst of a costume creation frenzy. Hey Jason, what are you working on?
I'm working on one of the mermaid tops for H2O, Just Add Water, our new children's television series.
Now this is the top, but look at the tail. That is absolutely beautiful. What's the first step in designing something like this?
The first step in designing mermaids is the sketch phase, where we sit down with the director and producers and talk about the look and what they want. And from there we move into the body casting phase.
Mm-hmm. So each actor has to actually get fitted for their tail?
That's right, yeah. Once they've cast their actors, they come in for a full body cast.
All right. What kind of materials do you use for something like this?
The materials we've used are neoprene, which is like wetsuit material, silicone, foam and a flexible nylon fabric.
Well, this is all very interesting, and very soon we'll be finding out just how a mermaid tail is made, so stick around. Welcome back. Today we're following the costume making process from go to woe, and we're looking at mermaid tails. Now, of course, Jason, we've got the beautiful body cast, the fiberglass here. Yes. How does it all fit together and how does it fit into the tail? Okay.
Once we have our fiberglass body cast, we start with our neoprene undersuit, which
fits really well.
Looks like a glove.
Yep.
From here, and that's all inside this section, from there we have a rod that attaches a foot plate to this flexible rod, down to this flexible nylon section which is cast inside our silicone, which allows for a flexible movement to help the girl swim.
Like you'd think a real mermaid would swim in the water.
Absolutely.
So far we've seen costume creation steps 1 and 2, and a little later in the show we'll be adding the finishing touches to these fishy creatures. Well, our mermaid tail costume is almost complete. There are just a few more final touches to be added. Jason, what's left to do?
What's left to do now is the final scaling, and then that gets another detailed layer on top of that. and then a final airbrushing.
Are these all handmade, these scales?
Yeah, the scales are all vac formed out of a very thin plastic, and then each one is stamped and trimmed and then laid on individually. So it takes about 2 full days for 2 people to scale an entire mermaid tail. And from there, we do a final paint job.
And how many tails have you made altogether?
We made 5 tails all up, and so we've got 1 tail for each girl, a stunt tail for any sort of extreme stunt work, and then a floppy tail, which is for like hanging out of a bathtub or in a sleeping bag or stuff like that.
So there you have it. The tail is finished, and so is this episode of Totally Wild. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.